Welcome to sort of review in a way. This video I'm reviewing the new titles that had come out for the DCU, the stuff that came out right after Convergence wrapped up, and what my thoughts were on these new number ones that DC had launched not in 2016 but 2015. Now, a few of these series I've already gave full reviews for, like Titans Hunt, Batgirl, Superman and Lois, Superman, Lois and Clark. I'm about to, soon wrap up my thoughts with Batman Beyond whenever the library gets their hands in the third volume of the trade series. But overall, let's go over basically the number ones that I can talk about that I haven't read yet. First of which is the Black Canary series. I have reviewed the first trade for this. I have not reviewed the second trade yet. But the thing with this series was that this was a brilliant stroke of genius of getting Black Canary another shot at an ongoing series. Too bad, once again, it was ended after only 12 issues. Even though I didn't read the original title when it originally came out, I have read it. It is really good. And this run was actually really good as well. Even though, yes, it's done by the same creative team who did Batgirl at this point, the one who did the Burnside stories. But here's the thing. It's all about Black Canary leading a rock group. And basically, this series was set up in the last 3 issues of Brandon Fletcher's run, and Becky Cohen. They were the writers who wrote Batgirl after Gail Simone left. Pretty much, this series was set up in those last 3 issues of that first arc at the back of the Burnside stories. But one thing I really enjoyed about this series was the fact you brought in Vixen. Yes, Vixen. A character who, prior to this, had not been seen since the events of Throne of Atlantis, and she was brought in as a supporting character. Now, I had tweeted the writers of Batgirl and Birds of Prey to see if possibly, as a suggestion, that maybe Vixen could show up in this town, maybe join the team. As far as I know, that's not going to happen because she's going to join the JLA, the new upcoming volume starting next month with Black Canary. And for this title altogether, this title I thought was really good. Despite its creative hiccups, one of the biggest problems with this series was its delays. Yes, for some reason I have no idea exactly why this happened, but after issue 7, after issue 5, the series started to receive delays. Batgirl was delayed by 1 issue. 1 issue was delayed, but the rest of it came out pretty much on time. As for Black Canary, for its first 5 issues, it came out all on time, but its last 7 issues were delayed for no explained reason. I have never heard an exact reason why these issues were delayed, but despite that, they decided to put issues 6 and 7 in the first volume, despite the fact that the first arc kind of wrapped up by then. But yeah, but Black Canary, good time. Constantine Helper. This one was written by Ming Doyle and Jameson Ford. Jameson Ford was the current writer of, I think, what's the name of that series? Oh yes, this series starting off was kind of bad. For the first couple of issues, I'm like, what the heck are they doing with this title? I mean, once you said the character Georgia, who works for the British government, I thought the series was a little bit more interesting after that. And even though the Hellblazer title is kind of a continuation of this, and this title was supposed to be a continuation of the Constantine title done by Ray Fox, it didn't feel like that. It felt like nothing was accomplished. I mean, yeah, they brought in Papa Midnight, but him and Necron were the only people who actually showed up in this series, who were actually recurring villains. Though the series was set in New York City, I thought it was interesting, but oh yeah, and there was even 1 issue where Swamp Thing showed up, which was okay, yes. But starting with issue 3, the series got better, but the first couple issues were really bad. I had no idea exactly what they were up to, but I will get into other thoughts of the other series that was supposed to be launched with this particular thing. But yeah. Next, of course, is Cyborg from David Walker and others. This series I am surprised that people disrespected this series. Because, also another thing, Cyborg got a new look with this series. A look that other people ignored. I am not kidding. I mean, I get maybe Jeff Johns ignoring it, but every other book the guy appeared in, people were ignoring this new look. I mean, I personally didn't have a problem with it, yeah. It looked great. But once how it got relaunched, Rebirth, he went back to his Forever Evil look. I have no idea why this was, just that it was. I mean, originally the title was written by David Walker for the first 7 issues. And then for some reason, I have no idea why, he left. And the book was handed off to one of Cyborg's creators, Marv Wolfman. And the series was still pretty good at that point. And plus, also during the course of the series, both Walker and Marv Wolfman brought in characters like the Metal Men and Shazam, basically making their first appearances outside of the Justice League title and brought them as sort of recurring characters in the book. And I thought the book was really good. And yeah, you have the stereotypical thing of the government being bad, try to take Cyborg because of the techno invasion from the first few issues. But yeah, there was nothing really bad about this series. And yet people thought this series sucked. In my honest opinion, I thought the series was good. Next, of course, is Dr. Fate, a book that lasted for 18 issues, surprisingly. This title was written by Paul Levitz. Probably his first title was written. I have no problem with Paul Levitz. The problem I had with this title was it had bad artwork. To start off with, really crappy artwork. I'm like, what the heck is DC doing with this book? I mean, why in the world was it that this title had to have really bad artwork to start off with, and all of a sudden the title got a little bit better? It was a little bit interesting, but then, like prior to Rebirth, they brought back the original Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson, and it was revealed in the book that the guy who appears in the book is his great nephew. Okay, that's brilliant. But I thought it was an okay title, but one thing I also didn't like about besides the bad artwork was the fact whenever the guy put on the helmet, and this is the Prime Earth version of the character who appears in Earth 2. Yeah, Khaled, I think his name is. He's a doctor, an actual doctor, and whenever he puts on the helmet, he doesn't become actual Dr. Fate. He just basically gets like the amulet, but that's it. I mean, this is supposed to be the helmet of Naboo. And apparently it does not turn him into Fate. He just does whatever the heck he wants to do. It's really bad, at least. But the writing did get better. For the series did get better after that. But yeah, pretty decent series. Next, of course, came Justice League 2001, the continuation of Justice League 3000. This title was done by Keith Giffen, Jay and the Mightiest, and the artwork was done by Howard Porter. I thought the series was okay at best, but I thought it was a pretty good series overall. According to the Mightiest and Keith Giffen, this is their version. This is basically their interpretation of the Justice League set in the future. Basically, this title was meant to replace the Legion of Superheroes. Even though 3001, yes, was a continuation of the 3000 title, it was pretty decent for what it was, and probably one of the most weirdest ideas I've ever seen for this series was the fact that they had a version of Guy Gardner in the series who was in fact a woman. And also, the fact that the characters Ice, Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold appeared in the book too, and they're the same characters that appear in the present day. Well, basically Booster Gold and Blue Beetle were in fact clones. Not kidding, clones. Yep. And it was heavily implied that Ice had a thing for the female Guy Gardner. Oh yeah, and everybody at the character and Flash get replaced halfway through the series. I thought it was a pretty decent series overall. The only reason why I read it because I'm a fan of Keith Giffen, Jay and the Mightiest. And plus, I enjoy their JLI series. Okay. Next is the very mixed that was Justice League America. The series that had really good artwork, but a terrible story, and plus also terrible delays. I mean, good God, the delays were so horrible for this series. I have never seen for a series coming out of DC Comics that received this bad of delays. Currently, it's a miniseries, the limited series Dark Knight 3 Master Race is experiencing these dumb delays. I have no idea exactly why Bryan Hitch. Now, Bryan Hitch is a good artist. Okay, I thought maybe they could have him because, well, another book I'm probably going to talk about really soon, that maybe he's going to be good for this book. Nope, the title sucked after the first issue. And also, for some really weird reason, an issue, I think it was issue 5, I have no idea why this was, they decided to have it where the arc actually had to skip an issue because they wanted to promote another series. No idea why, and it's the worst issue of the whole series. Yeah, the issue comes completely out of nowhere and interrupts the God Rao story, which took up a good chunk of the 10 issues the series released. And because of all the dumb delays, initially issues 9 to 12 and the annual were initially cancelled. That was until they decided to release issues 9 and 10 to wrap up that story. As far as I know, issues 11 and 12 and the annual have since still been cancelled, and who knows when Bryan Hitch will actually release them. Now, I gotta point this out. When Tony S. Daniel was doing books like Detective Comics, Batman, and Deathstroke, when he was doing the writing and artwork for these series, did these series ever receive delays? No! They never did! They all came out on time. Apparently, Bryan Hitch cannot keep a good damn schedule. I am not kidding about this. Probably a lot of people had this problem with the Justice League America series. I mean, one of the other big confusions, one thing that people criticize the series for, is that when the heck does the series take place? One of the possible theories is that it took place during the 5-year jump, which is completely thrown out the window due to the fact that Cyborg is wearing a completely different, his look is completely different. Some say it took place after Darkseid War. If that's the case, where the heck was Shazam, Lex Luthor, and frickin' Captain Cold? For some ungodly reason, Bryan Hitch refused to put these characters in the damn book. I have no idea why this was. Now, do I think Bryan Hitch was a bad idea at that point? No, I did not think it was a bad idea. Maybe it was a chance for him to get a chance to try out to be the writer. Well, his characterization was fine, and how he developed the characters was fine. It's just that his storytelling was terrible. Heck, DC probably thought, yeah, this was a good idea, so let's put him on the main Justice League book that Geoff Johns had been on for the past, I don't know, 5 years. Yeah, for almost 5 years he was on this book. And what does he do? Really forgettable stories. But the series still has good artwork. I will eventually get to Justice League soon. The relaunch book. But yeah. That was the thing when it came to this series. It had bad stories, terrible delays, and the fact that issues were being canceled and then resolicited later for some ungodly reason. Look, if Bryan Hitch really wanted to get the series on time, then here's a clue. Have somebody else do something part of the series to get this series finally frickin' finished. Because even though, yeah, there was still supposed to be 2 more issues and an anime supposed to come out, as far as I know, those issues have been canceled, so who knows when those issues will be released. Next, of course, was Martian Manhunter, which is the 4th volume of the series, and it lasted for 12 issues, and it was written by Rob Williams. This series I thought was really, really good. I thought it was a really good series that, in my honest opinion, since the series has ended, Martian Manhunter has completely disappeared from DC Universe. I have no idea why this was. Now, basically, one of the plot threads of the series was the fact that apparently all the population of Earth had pretty much disappeared thanks to what happened during the series. And also, in case you're wondering, did Martian Manhunter's twin brother show up in the series? Yes. For about 4 issues. He showed up in the second half of the series. The series, I thought, was one of the more better titles that was launched thanks to DCU. Yeah. Alright. Next, of course, is Midnight, which is a spin-off of Grayson. Now, some people think spin-off of Grayson, maybe that's kind of bad. Nope, it really isn't. And was written by Steve Orlando, currently the current writer of Supergirl and going to be the writer of the relaunched Justice League America series starting next month. Yep. Now, I do think that Steve Orlando was a great choice to be the writer for Supergirl because he did a great job writing Midnighter. Probably the only Wildstorm character DC ever gave a damn about. They actually did anything with, despite the fact they had other characters they put in this universe. They did jack squat with them. People like Voodoo, Grifter, the Stormwatch, the Gen 13 characters, stuff like that. Midnighter was the only one they did anything with, and for a very good reason. Because he's the Wildstorm version of Batman. Heck, there was a joke in the Batman Robin Eternal series, which I'll get to that soon, where he was referred to as the gay Batman. Seriously, that's what he was referred to as. And he worked for an organization called The Garden, which was established in the pages of Grayson. So basically, you can kind of see it where the first 8 issues of Grayson was set up for this particular series. But unlike Black Canary, which got one of the writers from that particular series, when it's off Batgirl, this one got none of the writers. It got Steve Orlando, which I personally didn't read anything by him before, but he did a great job with it. And recently, he also did the Monster Man crossover. People like James Jenieth, Tom King, and Tim Seeley. Yep. This, of course, is the Omega Man. It was a Tom King series. This series, I kind of felt this, well, kind of a bit of a disappointment in the way. The series had great writing. Don't get me wrong. It was great. It was wonderfully written by Tom King. My biggest problem with the series was the fact that when the series first started, it was way too dark. I mean, not to the point where there was gruesome stuff in it. No, to the point where I couldn't even tell what the heck was going on with the series. Yeah, heck, I was questioning what the heck happened to Kyle Rayner after New Guardians ended. Apparently, got dumped in this series for some unknown reason. Yeah, I have no idea why this was. Yeah, I have no idea why he was dumped in this series. It's just that he was dumped in the series. And basically, he spent almost the majority of the series wearing this white mask with a cross on it. And apparently, they did it just to hide his face. And also, apparently, the Omega Men apparently was some groups of them. And also, half the time, the Omega Men are basically written as villains. But I thought it was still a pretty decent series. One of the other weaknesses of it, despite the fact of its really unforeseeable artwork, was the fact I thought this was really weird for Tom King to do. Every issue ended with some kind of quote instead of like to be continued or something like that. Yeah, it was really bizarre to say the least. Also, I gotta bring this up. Originally, the series was going to be canceled with issue 7 because, well, the series has suffered through low sales. And then DC's like, nah, we're not going to do that. Let's just release the final 5 issues despite the fact the sales for the series sucked. Yeah, despite the fact the sales for the series, despite like this series not did too well financially wise, it did well critically wise. Just that it wasn't selling too well. So, of course, Arsenal. A series that lasted for 13 issues by Scott Lobdell, a relaunch of the Red Hood and the Outlaws series. Now, when I initially heard that Scott Lobdell was going to write the series, I thought this was a bad idea. Now, I thought definitely this series was better than the first time Red Hood and the Outlaws because the fact, well, for one thing, it took out Starfire and gave her own book. I will get to that soon. But it felt like that the series had pretty good direction. And then for some strange reason, just prior to Robin War break, just before the Robin War crossover, which I will get to that soon, for some reason, I have no idea why Lobdell did this, he put Joker's daughter in the series, which I'm like, didn't she get the Joker's face thing off? Apparently she still has, despite the fact she has all the stitches removed, and it basically, she puts on like a mask for some reason. And also in the series, you get a chance to see for the first time ever, Joker's daughter without the Joker face on. And she's a stunning woman. She's a teenager. She's kind of revealed, I think she's revealed in the series to be 16. And apparently she's the ruler of the Gotham Underground. I don't know why. And apparently I made a joke about because, well, Arsenal was back recovering alcoholic. That what if he got drunk and woke up in bed with Joker's daughter? Now, I don't think that she was exactly 16. They think it's like 16, maybe 18 years old. She could be a little bit older. She looks like she's 18. So it's not like Arsenal would be sleeping with a minor. So basically, he would not commit statutory rape. But it was just a joke that I had. I never made anything by it. I spoke to a few of my friends about it. They kind of laughed about it, but I wasn't really serious about it. And as far as I know, Lobdell never actually did that at all the whole series. And I thought it was odd, though, that he added her to the series and simply put in the final issue she was taken down by Red Hood and Arsenal. And then what happened to the characters? Well, Arsenal went over the Titans, still there. And Red Hood decided to reform the Outlaws without Arsenal and Starfire, and basically teamed up with Artemis, the Amazon Artemis, not the one from Young Justice, and Bizarro. Yeah, which is being DC's referred to him as the Dark Trinity. Okay. And the series is still pretty good. I gotta praise it for that. Yeah. Next, of course, is Robin, Son of Batman by Patrick Gleason. Now, Gleason himself only did initially the first 6 issues and issue. I think it was actually first. Trying to remember. I think it was the first 5 issues and issue 8. Yeah, he did one other issue, but almost the rest of the series was written by Ray Fox. Now, initially, I was quite hesitant to seeing that Patrick Gleason was not only doing the artwork but the writing as well. But then I read the series. I'm like, man, this series is damn good. Just too bad it got canceled at the 13 issues. The first half of the series dealt with the Year of Blood storyline, which I have reviewed on my Comic Corner, the first volume of the series. And of course, also, besides the fact it follows some stuff, basically Patrick Gleason follows some stuff that happened with Damian over the years, he also followed up on what he did in the pages of Batman and Robin. In the case of the first arc of the series, when nobody was killed by Damian's self-defense, he created Nobody's daughter. And she became a supporting character in the series, and heck, even after he stopped writing the series, she still stayed. Ray Fox pretty much kept her in the series because he didn't have a problem with her, and she appeared in all 13 issues. And she even appeared recently in an issue of Superman in the second part of the of that 2-parter backdoor pilot for Super Sons. She appeared in part 2. Also, they introduced a new character called Goliath, who's currently appearing in Teen Titans with Damian. As for Nobody's daughter, who knows what they could do with the character. I think she might show up in Super Sons. I don't know. I'll find out when the issue comes out next month. But all in all, Robin, Son of Batman was a great series that came out. I kind of wish it lasted more than 13 issues. Next, of course, is Starfire by Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti. I have reviewed the first trade of this series as well, and I did also the same episode review the first trade of Cyborg. This was a great series. Too bad it got canceled, 12 issues. Now, the reason why it ended is because Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner wanted to end their run there. Now, someone suggested, this was Blue Goblin, that why not Marvel would take over the writing for the series, because after all, he did create the character. But as far as I know, he has never written Starfire series at all. I think he may have written the Starfire solo issues from Teen Titans Spot. I have read that series. But, yeah. This was a pretty fun series. Heck, there was even a few issues Dick Grayson himself actually guest starred in the series. He showed up in issue 6 and guest starred for the next couple of issues, which I thought was a brilliant stroke of genius. And the fact Jerry Palmiotti confirmed himself, I heard in when Comic Frontline interviewed him, that Dick Grayson was definitely going to show up in the series, but not early on. I think it was a little bit later. But one theory someone had of why the series had to add 12 issues was because Batman did not make a physical appearance. Superman did. He appeared in the first and last issue of the series, and Dick Grayson appeared for 3 issues. And of course, the writers thought it would be a good idea to bring in a character they created, Allie. aka the Third Terra, which they introduced in pre-Flashpoint in the 12th issue of Supergirl Volume 5. I was very happy they brought this character. They brought this character in issue 2. Yeah, in issue 2. And I kind of felt as though the issue was kind of a remake of Supergirl 12, just replace all the Supergirl stuff with Starfire. Seems fine the fact they would do this because they wrote the original issue. They did the original issue. Though Amanda Carr did the artwork for the issue. She didn't write the issue with Jim Miller. That was done by Justin Gray. But she was a great supporting character. I would have loved it if she would have gone over with Starfire over the Teen Titans, or I would also love her to join the Titans series. But who knows what the plans are for her? As far as I know. Also, one other thing I thought was really ingenious about the series was the fact the series was set in Key West. I mean, when was the last time you ever heard of a DC series set in Florida, of all things? They probably got the idea from the Ant-Man title Nick Spencer was writing. They start writing back in 2015, which ended last year. After it had been relaunched in 2015 to #1 renamed Astonishing Ant-Man. They probably got the idea from that, but they went a little bit further. They went beyond Miami and they went to Key West. Okay? But all in all, I thought it was a great series. Yep. Right. Of course, well, I've already discussed you in Clark. You can check out my previous episode. Telos. Telos was a pretty interesting series and quickly at the 6 issues low sales. So by Jeff King. And of course, he had Brainiac show up in the series as well, along with Parallax, aka Hal Jordan. I thought this was an okay series. Just kind of bad the fact the series got canceled at only six issues, but yeah, it's one of those 3 series. It's one of Convergence, but unlike Titans Hunt and Superman and Lois and Clark, which they lasted for 8 issues, Telos was canceled very quickly after only 6 issues published. And no, the series and stuff. And last but not least, We Are Robin by Lee Bergman. I think it's the same pronounced person's name. Yeah. He does a series of writers as well. Yeah, that's the most recent thing he did aside from this series. It wasn't necessarily a bad series per se. It's just that this was a series for the character Duke Thomas, which, and also one of the other really kind of bad things about the series is the fact that certain characters got killed off and we never felt any attachment to them. The only things I thought was interesting that Lee, how do you pronounce his name? Bermejo. There was 2 interesting things he did with the series. One, he had the characters go against the Talons, which led into Robin War, and the other was basically take on a gang of Jokers. I thought that was interesting for the second arc of the series. But the series was kind of mixed bag. It had pretty decent artwork for what it was, but it was also nice to see the Talons again. As for the Robin War crossover itself, I thought it was a pretty good crossover. Overall, despite the fact that a couple issues really had, well, in the case of the Teen Titans tie-in, that one was kind of bad because, well, they had Professor Pig, and it was the Pendulum issue of Will Pfeiffer's run for the book. I will get to the other books that continued from that continued just after Convergence. But We Are Robin, I thought was an okay series. Robin War was a pretty interesting crossover, all in all. I kind of wish that Gotham County was part of the main storyline, instead of just be a standalone issue. Yeah. Alright, that's it for all the new titles. Now talk about the continuing titles that came after Convergence. First, of course, is Aquaman. I have reviewed the Colin Bunn issues, which took up issues 41 to 48, but I have not talked about the Dan Abnett issues, which he wrote the last 4 issues and still the writer of the series. Simply put, you can kind of see the last 4 issues of this volume as sort of set up for the current volume. But at the end of this volume, you had Aquaman proposing Mera. Now, for some people that tick people off, that also implied the fact that they are never married in this continuity. I thought it was kind of cute, the fact that he decided to do that, but yeah. But it was a pretty interesting run overall. Nothing really much to say, but I thought it was really good the fact Dan Abnett took over the series again because, well, from the research I've done with him, he has written the series before, so at least he knows what he's doing when it comes to writing Aquaman. Action Comics. Pretty much almost entirely written by Greg Pak, except for the last 2 issues. First it was Truth, then it was Savage Dawn, then it came Final Days. Truth, I thought, a lot of people agree with me on this, when it comes to Superman books that were part of the Truth. This was the strongest book out of all those books, because it was pretty decently written. Then the book got really weird after that, and then came Savage Dawn, which I'll get to that soon. But yeah, it was a pretty okay series overall. That thing was just okay. Batgirl I've already discussed, thanks to reviewing the second and third volumes that collect the previous team. Batman, I'm going to discuss that soon when I get the second, when I get the next couple of trades in. Batman Superman. Well, this series had a few different storylines with it. First 7 issues was the tie-in to Truth, which had Superman meet the new Batman, who was Jim Gordon. And of course, they had it where they initially didn't trust him, and also the Bat family did not trust him as well, because apparently people he was working for, which was not the GCPD, by the way, it was basically Powers, apparently didn't trust the other vigilantes of Gotham City, and basically because they didn't want to be badged up. So yeah, basically he also didn't trust Superman because, well, the way New 52 was at that point. Basically, no one respected each other at all. But all in all, I thought that was an okay storyline. The Tom Taylor issues were really good, and I will eventually get to Final Days of Superman really soon. Okay. Next was Catwoman. This had a couple different runs with it. Now, I have already reviewed the second half of Gene Valentine's run, which wrapped up with issue 48. The last 4 issues, which were done by Frank Tieri, I thought were really good issues. That simply had Catwoman go back to basics. Had her be a thief, going across rooftops, and she was also framed for a crime she didn't commit. This might she's stolen stuff. But this was a great storyline for the book, and also you got a chance to see Killer Croc in the series one last time. And of course, the series has since been discontinued, and of course, Catwoman since showing up the pages of Batman and her own. Tet. Well, this one was quite interesting. It started off kind of weak for the first 6 issues. I mean, first you had Francis by Buccellato starting off with a really mediocre storyline to end their run. And then you had Pier J. Tomasi had Batman team up with the Justice League for an okay story. And then, like, right after Robin War, the series got a lot better for its last 6 issues. Yeah, for its last 6 issues, I thought it was really good, especially with the whole mystery with the serial killer stuff. Yeah, really good issues. I will eventually get a chance to review these trades soon, depending on them, but Flash. This had a couple different story arcs. Excuse me. After Convergence. First was the debut post-Flash appearance of Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash, who has slightly different costume than he had in pre-Flashpoint. A little more lines in it, and also basically it was also thanks to the particular storyline that Henry Allen finally got out of jail. He had finally been cleared of killing his wife Nora Allen. Yeah. And also, Reverse Flash had his own team of people trying to take on Barry for basically what it was. And the follow-up arc pretty much dealt with the return of the Rogues. So happy with that. And, of course, the main villain being the Riddler. Interesting stuff. Okay. Next, of course, is Gotham Academy. I have reviewed the first trade for this. Pretty interesting series. I will eventually get a chance to review the third and last trade really soon. Midnight. You already know my thoughts on that. Grayson, there's a couple more trades I still have left to go for that. I'm hoping to get them in soon. It was a nice wrap up for this series overall. Green Arrow. Oh boy, Green Arrow. Ben Percy took over the series and pretty much wrote everything out. That pretty much kind of undid all the development that Andrew Kensberg did with the series prior to this. And of course, he kind of forgot about the other characters. Like Neo Darden, disappeared. Completely gone. Felicity, gone. John Diggle, gone. Pretty much was back to basically the way it was at the start of Jeff Lemire's run. Bringing back Amigo, which was a pretty interesting idea to do. And probably one of the most terrible ideas that Ben Percy did with this run was the fact he made Oliver Queen to a werewolf. And I did like the fact he grew a beard. I thought it was also a sign also that he could be getting back his goatee, which he eventually did. These particular set of issues was a step down from the previous issues that came before, both by Jeff Lemire and Andrew Kensberg. Green Lantern, step up from Robert Venditti's previous efforts. First was the Renegade stuff dealing with Black Hand, and then the rest stuff dealing with the appearance by Parallax and having Hal Jordan go back to Earth first time in several years. First time since the start of Jeff Johns' run in this volume, he's actually got back to Earth. I actually scratched that. Actually, first time since God he's actually back to Earth. But yeah, plus so it was a pretty interesting time. And issue 50 took on Parallax. Harley Quinn, still a fun series overall. Issue 25 she took on the Joker. I'm kind of rushing this a bit because I gotta go to the bathroom. But yeah, I'm kind of rushing this. Justice League, awesome. Also some issues. United. Series went completely downhill after Jeff Lemire left. I had no idea what the story was. They had pretty good, interesting artwork. Great team members and recruits. First arc, no idea exactly what kind of plot they were doing with it. Second arc, though, was a little bit better. Better artwork, definitely. I can understand what the heck is going on. The last issue kind of felt like definitely something that Jeff Parker should have done. And changing to feel like Defenders, where pretty much everybody's on there for one mission, that's it. They like the concept. I can see why the series got canceled. Lobo. Now to say about this series, it was just okay. The Suicide Squad, pretty decent series overall. They killed off the previous Reverse Flash that Francis by which Lowe choosing their run for Flash. But yeah, they also got rid of the stupid character I didn't care for, the Vic Sage character, who I definitely think was not Vic Sage, and he had no business being in this series. But Sean Ryan got rid of him before he ended his. I think Tim Seeley took over the rest of the issues. Secret Six, awesome series, highly recommend it. Sinestro, still pretty decent coming after Secret Wars, still awesome overall. Superman and Superman and Wonder Woman, just Superman. I didn't like the fact Jeremy Jr. had to stay on the book even after Jeff Johns left. No, nothing against the writer who took over Johns. I thought he did a really good job with it, and of course the writer is currently doing new Superman. Okay. Next, of course, is Teen Titans. Y'all know my thoughts on that. I want to talk about Superboy and Wonder Woman, which is pure awesome at its finest. Okay. I'll end this video here. This is just part 1. Part 2, I'll talk about the miniseries and one-shots that came afterwards and everything else related to DCU. Okay. But until then, I will see you there.